Now, many of you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of comments. I've considered turning the comments off quite a few times on this channel because I feel like sometimes I lose IQ points when I read them. Don't get me wrong. I love you ladies. I love y'all flirting and I'm flirting back. I love you dudes that's got your head on straight. But sometimes you get comments that just make you want to fucking flip out. So here's what we got. We got people typically that are like, okay, if Bryan Kohberger didn't do it, tell me who did. Let's talk about that a little bit today. I'm thejbgunner. It's crime time.
Bring it back.
Now, this is Friday. There's not much news in terms of true crime. I get it. Some people are following other little crazy shit, but I already got a news channel. I already got a live stream channel. So this is your last video of the week here, unless something major breaks over the weekend, which in the court system, that's typically not going to happen. Guys, before we get into this video, though, I want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody that supports the channel, regardless of the method you use or the channel that you support, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Guys, either way, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you, the Gun Squad. Big shout out to you guys. I love you so much. If you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Support the channel. Join the Gun Squad today. While you're down there, if you're not a snowflake, do yourself a favor. Check out my other channels, my political channel, my gaming channel, my live stream channel. Don't do it, though, if you're a snowflake, a leftist, anything like that. It's probably not for you. Just stay over here. Stay over here. You know how it goes, because I know y'all, a lot of y'all got TDS and shit. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this particular topic. Here's the deal. It's not up to me or you to determine who actually did it. It's up to the prosecution to charge and convict and prove without a shadow of a doubt to everyone else who did it. So when people say to me, well, if Bryan Kohberger didn't do it, who did it? You're under the assumption that all of us that believe in innocent until proven guilty, or that believe there's not enough evidence to convict them, that it all of a sudden means that we must have another person that we've picked out. See, I'm not like you motherfuckers. I don't have to point the finger at someone. Because here's the truth. If you want to know my honest feeling in regards to this case, I will tell you, I believe that the person that did this is someone we've never even heard of. Or groups of people, or a group of people, or whatever. I'm not 100% though. I believe that this could be a potential serial killer type issue, and I do not believe Bryan Kohberger is that guy, or at least it hasn't been proven to me yet. So just because myself or Harsh Reality or anyone else says it hasn't been proven to us that Bryan Kohberger did it, that doesn't mean that we automatically have a backup plan for who we think it is. Now, I can't speak for those other creators, but I can tell you from my position, I don't necessarily have a backup plan. I have people that I suspect because I don't have to have a backup plan. I understand that a lot of you are sitting in front of your TV right now, and this is a hobby for you. You're sitting there with your ho-hos and your Cheetos, and you think to yourself, man, I'm going to get to the bottom of this case. Sometimes you don't. In fact, most of the time in America, the police don't either. That's why under 50% of the homicides in this country is solved. And you can Google that. It's an absolute fact. Under 50% of homicides in the United States of America are solved. That means not only are you and I not very fucking good at it, but neither are the police. Now, my problem are with the people that automatically lick the boots of the cops and say, oh man, Bryan Kohberger did it. My question is what makes you say that? Because it can't possibly be the little bit, and maybe you do believe that. But in a court of law, that's not enough evidence. And just like right here, right now, as you look around, there's plenty of people. You can see them all in the comment section down below that are like, I don't know if Bryan Kohberger's guilty. All we need is one motherfucker like that on the jury, which I can almost guarantee you'll probably have. At least one person that is unsure if this is enough to convict Bryan Kohberger. Now, You could be right, and they could have a shitload more. I've said it a million times, though, probably not. Probably not. And most detectives and most defense lawyers agree with me when I say 85 to 95% of everything they have is in the PCA. Everything else that they have is going to be collected after the fact. So let's actually analyze this, okay? My final statement is, I don't know who did it. And I think it's weird that you people think that one of us, that you, me, citizens, have to have one or the other. We either have to think it's Bryan Kohberger that did it, or we have to have a definitive answer of who it actually was. No, that's why it's called mystery. That's why it's called, that's kind of what it is. That's why investigations have to go in. I've told you that I personally believe that the city of Moscow rushed the investigation because they wanted to get everybody back in school because it funds the town. Now, so when we're looking at the idea of who did it, okay, there are potential suspects that I can name. I've told you guys Demetrius Robinson and that whole Emma Bailey thing. I've told you that it is possible that these kids were involved in drugs. And if you look at that town, you look at the demographics of that town, and then there is something that sticks out like a sore thumb, who also was a drug dealer that happened to get arrested for his drugs killing another person. Now, I've seen a lot of you say it's another conspiracy theory is a lot of you guys say, well, maybe they all overdosed. And no. Clearly, they were stabbed. Like I said in my last video, which you guys have to go check out, it's where I break down all the conspiracy theories. A lot of you guys thought it was funny as shit. That's awesome. The truth of this is that a lot of you guys, like even that one, you guys come up with the weirdest conspiracy theories. All of them overdosed, and now the government said they stabbed him. You know what I mean? It's a weird theory. It's a weird thing. I get it, though. I understand. So, who did it? Like I said, suspects. Obviously, you have to suspect or at least look side-eye at the fraternity boys. I think you have to, because there was a fight between Ethan and the frat boys before all of this happened. You know, Occam's razor says the most likely answer is typically the one that exists. At the end of the day, somebody in that house got into a fight or an argument or into a confrontation with someone else in that neighborhood right before it happened. So I think that the frat boys is a definite suspect. Now, the police obviously don't think so, or they would have, or we'd know it. Now, me personally, once again, most likely answer. Then we move over to, like I said, the drug dealing aspect. I believe that if it was drugs involved, then you have to look at people that was drug dealing in the area. That could include Demetrius, that could include Emma Bailey, that could include those people. Then you have to look at the concept, you have to look at the possibility that someone came in there and did it that no one even fucking knows who it is. And Bryan Kohberger was just the guy that they pointed out that, circumstantial. It looks like the one, basically they got him and they're working backwards. They picked their suspect and now they're trying to make the evidence, fit. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know any of that. Then the possibility is Bryan Kohberger did it. Do I think that's a possibility? Absolutely, I do. Of course it is. Now, do I think they have enough evidence to convict him? No. So when you ask me, and when I or anyone else tells you innocent until proven guilty, and I don't believe they have enough evidence, I don't know why out of your brain the first thought that comes out is, well, who did it then? It could be anybody. There's 8 billion people on the planet, 350 million here in America. It could be anybody. Like if someone asked me, JB, you want fish tonight for dinner? I don't eat seafood. Nah, hell no. That doesn't mean that I automatically know what I want. You see what I'm saying? Well, what do you want then? Shit, I don't know. It doesn't have to be black and white, one way or the other, all the time. But for some reason, everyone in this community believes it has to be that way. Has to be. Oh my God, there's a little doggy door cut out in the wreckage. That must mean it's a tunnel. Man, it's a crawl space. That's crazy. It doesn't have to be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, and another thing I want to say to the tunnel people is, why didn't they just bury the house in the tunnel if the tunnel exists? Just curious. And then build, and then put, I'm just curious. I don't know. But anyways, look, there's a lot of times I respond to y'all's comments, and there's a lot of times I don't, because I don't know any more than you. Well, I do know more than a lot of you, based on my experience and how long I've been covering this case. But in reality, we're all just playing the game of Clue, man. Who did it, where, with what weapon? Some of you are trying to take the easy way out by just listening to the official narrative, by just listening to the police and saying, yeah, I agree with them. You're cheating at the game of Clue. But ultimately, that's all this is a game of Clue. So if you want a specific answer, who I think it was, I can tell you who I don't think it was. But ultimately, I don't know the answer to that. And I think if you ask most people that don't feel it was Bryan Kohberger, if they're honest, they'll tell you they don't know either. And I think that's where all the conspiracy theories come in, is because of questions like that, is that you're asking, well, if not Bryan Kohberger, who? And so what happens, everybody out here is afraid to say, I don't know. They're afraid to say, they have to be right. And so what they do is they replace Bryan Kohberger with another person. It has to be the boyfriend. It has to be Jack S. It has to be the dog. It has to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Has to be Michael Myers. Has to, you know what I mean? Instead of just having the ability and the courage and just to flat out, just being a good person and saying, fuck, I don't know. Everybody has to definitively say a name. This case has been wild since the beginning, and I think you and I both understand that. That's the reality. I hope it's Bryan Kohberger. That way there's not a killer running around. It's the truth. But I don't think that I don't think they have enough for me to convict him. Which means, in my mind, I have to think that there's possibly someone else. And I think most of you watching this probably agree with that, unless you just love police's balls in your mouth. And you're like, no, the police said it. That means it's 100% true. Even though they don't solve half the crimes in the United States. Look, this is the reason I don't respond to a lot of your comments. It's because they're not well thought out. And they're almost accusatory. They're almost... I'm not one of these people that's pointing the finger at everybody. I'll just say that. Okay? At the end of the day, I could be completely wrong and it could be Bryan Kohberger. But here's the truth. I never said Bryan Kohberger didn't do it. I said there's not enough evidence for me to convict him. And here in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. Has he been proven to be guilty enough that you're willing to send him to his death? I'm not on that team. So while a lot of people are thinking emotionally, and a lot of you are because you're so wrapped up. See, I don't care if the case ever gets solved or not. All of you are the ones emotionally attached to this case. I think it's fun. This is one of the funnest games of Clue I've ever played. But this isn't what I do for a living. I do news and politics and shit like that. I do this, but understand, for me, this is kind of a hobby. Yes, if I wanted to make this a living too, I guess I could start live streaming from here and make it a living. But then I got to deal with a lot. Listen, I don't think you guys understand. True crimers comments is way different than the political world's comments and shit like that, right? I'm just being perfectly honest with you. When you're talking about the true crime world, because everybody's guessing and playing Clue, you're going to hear a lot of comments and shit that makes you go, fuck. And here's the truth, is everybody also thinks they're right. Everybody thinks they're junior detectives. A lot of you motherfuckers couldn't detect your husband fucking another bitch or your wife sucking another dick. You couldn't detect that, could you? How many of you watching this has been cheated on or fucked over or lied? But now you're all of a sudden you're a detective and you can solve the Kohberger case? But you weren't smart enough to know when your husband was banging the secretary or when your wife was fucking JB Gunner? Dummy. Who do I think did it? I don't fucking know. I can't wait to find out, though. If we even find out. It's going to be a hell of a trial. Hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. If my content is valuable to you, feel free to hit the links down below. Support the channel. Let me know in the comment section who you think it is. Let's do that. Who do you think it is? If you don't know, don't be afraid to say, motherfucker, I don't know. I'm JB Gunner. This is Crime Time. Good morning. Have a great weekend.